Come here. Come here. Come here, little boy. He shouted behind the river. I woke up suddenly, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. The dream was so real, more real than anything I had ever experienced. After Mama Susan left that night, I felt lonelier than ever. I lay in the small hut, clutching the dry piece of bread she had brought me, but no amount of food could fill the emptiness inside. My mind wandered to the days when Papa was still alive, back when the village hadn't turned their backs on us. They called him mad, and his madness followed me like a shadow, no matter how hard I tried to escape it. Years passed. I was now 25, and the thought of Papa and how he was tortured to death never stopped playing in my head each night. Most times all of a sudden, I would scream at the top of my voice trying to drive the thoughts away from my head, but it just wouldn't leave, which happened again one particular night. I curled up after screaming, and right there I slept off. That night, as I drifted off to sleep, something strange happened. I found myself in a vivid dream. I was standing at the edge of a vast river, the water glowing under a full moon. Across the river, on the other side, stood a woman, her flowing golden and purple garments shimmering in the moonlight. She looked at me with such intensity that I couldn't look away. She raised her hand, beckoning me to come closer. Her voice, soft but powerful, echoed through the dream. Come. I woke up suddenly, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. The dream was so real, more real than anything I had ever experienced. Who was that woman? Why did she feel so familiar, like she had always been a part of my life, even though I had never seen her before? Shaking off the dream, I convinced myself it was just my mind playing tricks. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen, something that would change everything. The next morning, the village was the same as always, cold, cruel, and filled with whispers. As I walked through the narrow paths, people turned their faces away, as if my very presence was a reminder of the madness they believed was in my blood. I went about my usual work on the farm, letting the hard labor dull the ache inside me. But no matter how busy I tried to stay, the woman from my dream lingered in my thoughts. Days passed, each one blending into the next, until one evening just before sunset, something caught my eye. Standing at the edge of the forest near the village was the same figure from my dream. My heart nearly stopped. It was her. The woman in golden and purple garments, her long dark hair flowing down her back like a river. I froze, unsure if she was real or just a figment of my imagination. But then she spoke. Why do you hide yourself? Her voice was soft but carried through the air like music. You are more than what they say you are. I stared at her, confused. Who are you? She smiled, a smile filled with mystery. I am Princess Mary, and I have been watching you for a long time. My heart raced. A princess. Watching me. But why? Before I could ask any more questions, she turned and disappeared into the forest, leaving me standing there, breathless and filled with questions. The days after Princess Mary's sudden appearance were strange. I couldn't think straight. I fumbled through my work, my mind drifting back to her words. You are more than what they say you are. Who was she? Why did she care about me, the young boy the village had abandoned, the son of a man they all called mad? I kept the encounter to myself, afraid that if I told anyone, they would think I was mad too. One evening, I was sitting outside the hut, staring at the stars, when I heard footsteps. My heart leapt. I thought it was Princess Mary again, but when I turned, I saw Patrick instead. Patrick and I had grown up together, but like everyone else, he had distanced himself from me when my father's illness became too much to ignore. He stood there awkwardly, his hands in his pockets, avoiding my gaze. You've been through a lot, he said quietly. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to respond. For so long, everyone in the village had ignored me, whispered behind my back, treated me like I didn't exist. Now Patrick was standing in front of me, offering his sympathy. Part of me wanted to welcome him, but another part wanted to push him away. Thanks, I muttered, looking back up at the sky. There was a long silence. I could feel Patrick shifting uneasily, unsure of what to say next. Finally, he spoke again, his voice low and serious, sitting beside me. Look, I know the village hasn't treated you right, but there's something you need to know. I turned to him, my brow furrowed. What do you mean? He looked around nervously, then leaned closer. The elders, they are planning something. About you. My heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? What are they planning? He swallowed hard. I don't know everything, but they think you might be cursed. They are scared of you. My mind raced. Cursed? Why would they think that? Was it because of my father's illness, or because of the way people always whispered when I walked by? Before I could ask more questions, Patrick stood up suddenly. Just be careful, he said, glancing back toward the village. Stay away from the elders. And with that, he disappeared into the night, leaving me sitting there, my heart pounding with fear and confusion. What were the elders planning? And why was I at the center of it? After Patrick's warning, the village felt different. Everywhere I went, people seemed to look at me longer, their whispers louder, more urgent. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen, that my life was about to change in ways I couldn't control. Sleep became impossible. Every night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with thoughts of what the elders might be planning. I felt trapped, like a fly caught in a spider's web, waiting for the inevitable. One night, after hours of tossing and turning, I decided to go for a walk. The village was silent, the stars twinkling above me like tiny flames in the sky. I made my way to the river, hoping that the gentle sound of the water would calm my troubled heart. But when I reached the riverbank, I wasn't alone. There, standing at the edge of the water, bathed in the soft light of the moon, was Princess Mary. Her dark eyes brightened as she looked at me, her presence both comforting and unsettling. You're troubled, she said softly, her voice like a whisper carried by the wind. I nodded, unable to find my voice. She stepped closer, her gaze never leaving mine. The village doesn't understand you. But I do. I swallowed hard, the lump in my throat making it difficult to speak. Why? Why do you care? Her expression softened, and she reached out to touch my hand. Her touch was warm, gentle, and in that moment, I felt a glimmer of hope. I've been where you are, she said softly. Alone, misunderstood. But you are not cursed. You have a gift, a power inside you that the village fears. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. A gift? What could she possibly mean? Before I could ask, she stepped even closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Come with me. There is a world beyond this village, a world where you can be free. I stared at her, my heart racing. Could I really leave everything behind? Could I trust her? She squeezed my hand gently. You are stronger than you think, she whispered. And you deserve a chance to live freely. I took a deep breath, the weight of her words sinking in. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. Real hope. Okay, I whispered. I'll go with you. I took Princess Mary's hand, and the moment our fingers intertwined, I felt a warmth I hadn't known in years. It wasn't just the touch of her hand, it was the hope, the promise of something different, something better. We walked in silence for what felt like hours, the village disappearing behind us as the trees grew thicker around us. The air was cool, the night filled with the sound of crickets and the rustle of leaves. My heart raced with every step, my mind torn between excitement and fear. Where are we going? I finally asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. Princess Mary glanced at me, her dark eyes shimmering in the moonlight. To a place where you'll be safe, she replied gently. Where no one will judge you for your past. I swallowed hard, my thoughts turning to the village I had known all my life. Could I really leave everything behind? My memories of Papa, even the painful ones, felt like a chain that kept pulling me back. But then I remembered the stairs, the whispers, the loneliness. I had nothing left there. Nothing but pain. Maybe this was my chance to start over. As we continued walking, Princess Mary began to speak in a low, soothing tone. Your father, he was not mad, as the village believed, she said softly. He had a gift, just like you. Her words hit me like a wave. I stopped in my tracks, my heart pounding in my chest. What do you mean? A gift? They said he was cursed, that his mind was broken. Princess Mary shook her head, her expression kind but serious. Your father saw things others couldn't. He could hear the spirit of the land, understand the forces of nature. The village feared what they didn't understand. And now, they fear you because you carry the same power within you. I stared at her, my mind spinning. Could this be true? All my life, I had been told I was cursed, that my father's madness ran through my veins. But now, Princess Mary was telling me it wasn't madness at all, it was a gift. Why didn't anyone tell me? I whispered, my voice shaking. Why did they let me believe I was cursed? Princess Mary looked at me with deep sympathy. Because fear blinds people. They would rather label something they don't understand as evil than face the truth. But you are different. You have the power to change everything. Her words filled me with both hope and fear. I didn't feel powerful. I felt lost, broken. But the way she spoke, the certainty in her voice, made me want to believe. We continued walking until we reached a small clearing. In the center stood a stone circle, ancient and worn, as if it had been there for centuries. The air around it felt different, heavier, almost electric. Princess Mary led me to the center of the circle and motioned for me to sit. This is a sacred place, she said softly, sitting across from me. Here, you will begin to understand your gift. But first, you must be willing to let go of your past. I looked down at my hands, my mind flooded with memories of Papa, of the village, of the life I had known. Could I really let it all go? Taking a deep breath, I closed my eyes and let the night envelop me. The days that followed were unlike anything I had ever experienced. I stayed with Princess Mary in the forest, learning from her, listening to the stories she told of my father and the gift he had passed down to me. She spoke of ancient powers, of spirits that roamed the land, unseen by most but felt by those who carried the gift. At first, I struggled to understand. My whole life, I had been taught that my father's visions, his whispers to things no one else could see, were signs of madness. But slowly, under Princess Mary's guidance, I began to see things differently. You must trust yourself, she told me one evening as we sat by a small fire. The power within you is strong, but it can only grow if you believe in it. I nodded, though doubt still clung to my heart. How could I believe in something I barely understood? One night, while we were sitting in the circle of stones, Princess Mary placed her hand on mine and told me to close my eyes. Listen, she whispered. Listen to the earth, to the wind, to the trees. They speak to those who are willing to hear. I did as she said, my heart pounding in my chest. At first, I heard nothing but the usual sounds of the forest, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of an owl. Immediately I collapsed to the ground with darkness overshadowing me. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be notified whenever we post the final episode, where we uncover the whole mystery behind the destiny of the boy and Princess Mary.